everyone. My name is Gero Renker. I'm a Director of Program Framework, and I'm very pleased that you can join us today for this short webinar introducing Microsoft Project Server 2010. We're here thanks to the hospitality of Bytes today, and we are the project partner of Bytes. So thanks, Bytes, for giving us the opportunity to present the Project Server solution. Just to quickly introduce who I am. Hang on, no, before I do that, let me just give you this bit of information about this webinar. So there will be a opportunity to ask some questions at the end of the webinar, to type that into the Q&A, and we'll be reading out the questions and giving you some answers, one hopes. And as it says here, the recording of this webinar will be available on the Bytes website post this event. So, just very quickly to discuss who Program Framework are. We are specialist Microsoft partners with a gold competence in portfolio program and project management. So we deploy the Microsoft solution set Project Server, so SharePoint, to help organizations get better at delivering project programs and change, and we have a complete set of technology services to achieve that, but we also very much focus on the people, process and strategic aspects of these kind of solutions, because really that's where success lies. If we can make our teams use these applications consistently, then we get quality data, we get visibility, we get real value out of these solutions. Just to give you an idea of the types of organizations that we work with, they really are across all sectors, private and public. So we work with organizations in the engineering, manufacturing, defense world. There are some online and manufacturing businesses, financial services, and we've also done a lot of work in the public sector, a whole variety of NHS organizations. We've helped Parliamentary Estate Directory, for example, to plan the maintenance of some of the most iconic buildings in the land. We've rolled out and supported a £500 million program for Department of Health. Various engagements in local government and so forth. Really, this is, I think, testament to the versatility of the tool set. It can be easily configured to support different requirements, different processes, and one would think that it would be very hard to throw requirements at these solutions that they couldn't address in some way. Okay, so that's us, Program Framework. So let me start talking about the Project Server solution itself. Organizations that talk to us about Project Server typically feel a range of different pains in terms of project selection, project delivery, and if you're in that sort of space, then you may recognize some of these pain points. So typically, it's about visibility. It's making sense of all the initiatives, changes, projects, programs that go on in the organization, and understanding where things are maybe not going well and where we need to focus our attention. It's around implementing a level of standard process that people can follow, and thereby increasing the maturity of the organization. And for many organizations, the key piece is also resource management. Using our resources more efficiently, understanding who has some availability, forecasting demand across different skill sets, and so on. So all of these pains are addressed in some way by the Project Server solution. So let me give you a high-level overview of the areas of functionality that are in Project Server. And these are divided in these two capacity wheels, as you might call them. So in the top left, we have a whole range of facilities that help us define project ideas, turn them into proper business cases, make sure that we collect all of the information that's relevant, including costs, including resource demand, and then scoring these against our key strategic objectives to work out a benefit prioritization. With various limitations that we have in delivering projects such as budget, we can throw those against our portfolio and let the solution help us decide which project ideas we should sign off and deliver. So in the lower circle then we have all the typical facilities to deliver, and so that's around project planning, it's around collaboration, resource management, collaboration also in terms of issues and risk documents and so on. And a lot more when I show you the demo of the product. But before I do that, let me just give you a very basic idea of what Project Server is all about. So if you imagine you had a bunch of different projects in the organization, they may have been defined using Microsoft Project on the desktop, or they may be task lists in Excel or whatever else. So this slide here is giving you the idea that these are stored somewhere in the organization, maybe in some folders, maybe the latest version on the project manager's desktop, different versions maybe emailed around the organization. It's obviously extremely difficult to get a central view of what these projects are doing, what their status is, or to deploy any sort of templates across these projects. And this is the key situation that Microsoft Project Server addresses by putting a central database in place. So all of these projects will now be stored in a database, no longer on the desktop. And this database can be configured easily to reflect the information requirements of your organization. So for example, if you needed to align all of your projects with a particular executive sponsor, then this field sponsor would be defined in the database. We would define it with a value list behind it of all the names of sponsors that are relevant to you, and we would deploy this field onto a form, and therefore anybody who initiates a project would have to select a sponsor. So you get data integrity, and immediately you can report your projects by sponsor. So some of the key capabilities that you get by virtue of creating a project server environment is collaboration, because you've got project sites attached to these projects that are enabled by SharePoint. You get reporting because of this data model that we're deploying that's going to be consistent across these projects. We can also set up the solution to support process standards in many different ways, such as giving people appropriate templates, or asking people to work in accordance with your standard project lifecycle, have stage gate governance, and so on and so on. And finally, resource and skills management. So I will have a resource pool of resources that I can assign across these projects, and that should give me the visibility of what people are doing. Before I demo the solution, let's have a quick view at the technology stack for those of you that are interested. So we have here a platform that's enabled by SQL Server and SharePoint 2010. So if you want to run Microsoft Project Server 2010, you need SharePoint 2010, and you need every user must have an enterprise client access license for SharePoint. In the top left you can see two front ends, two software clients that we may use to access and work with the solution. So this is on the one hand Microsoft Project, so the common project planning tool. Most organizations that we see have Microsoft Project somewhere, but it may well be the standard version which deploys on the desktop and cannot talk to the server. So if you are going to deploy a project server, you really do need Microsoft Project Professional. If you are thinking of buying Microsoft Project licenses, make sure it's a professional one if you're going to upgrade to a project server deployment in the future. So by all means, talk to your Bytes account manager or licensing specialist, and they'll be able to tell you more. The other client that users will use to access the solution is called Project Web App, and this is a browser client. You will see that in a minute. It provides all of the functionality that people need other than the hardcore project planning facilities that Microsoft Project will provide. So Microsoft Project as a tool will only be required for those people that are project managers or of similar role that do complex project planning. And just to say also that the solution has open interfaces, so we can connect it to other business applications. So you may, for example, import say financial data from your accounting system into your project database, or equally you may take information out from Project Server and push it into other applications, maybe actual hours or whatever you need really. Okay, enough in terms of slides. Let me switch over to the application itself. So what you should now see is the homepage of Microsoft Project Server 2010 in Project Web App. So this, if you remember, is the browser client that I mentioned before. And whether you are a project manager, or you are part of the PMO, or you're an executive, or a resource manager, or a team member, or whatever your role is in this world of projects, you will access the solution using Project Web App, and you will be recognized by the system in your role, and therefore, the security model that we have here will give you your appropriate rights to access information and to perform functions that have been published to you. So just to point out that the system interfaces with Active Directory, so we can have a completely seamless user experience in terms of logging in or users being enrolled via Active Directory. And this solution will sit seamlessly within your intranet. It can be easily customized in terms of look and feel, because what we have here is a SharePoint page. So Project Server uses SharePoint to deploy its functionality. And I'm making the assumption that you have heard of SharePoint and have a vague concept of what SharePoint is as a collaboration environment, an application to easily, for example, create sites within your intranet, and Project Server sits within these sites, and I will show you later how SharePoint helps us create collaboration sites for individual projects and so on. So right now what you're seeing here on this homepage is a reminders section, and that really points to the collaborative nature of Project Server. You can see here I have rather a lot of tasks assigned from a number of different projects that have been enrolled in the solution. I may have timesheets to fill in and submit, approvals submitted to me, issues and risks that I need to look after, and so on. So it very much works on a collaborative basis, where items are assigned to somebody and they're being reminded every step of the way to take care of those. Okay, I'm going to leave the home page and take you to the Project Center. The Project Center is essentially a manifestation of the slide that I was showing you earlier, with all of these projects merging into a database. So what you have here is a view of that database, and if I just stay here for a minute and explain this view a little bit further, then you can see these individual line items in the view. They're all individual projects, and within this view I can see a range of data columns associated with these projects. And over here on the right-hand side, there's also a Gantt chart representation of these projects, so I can see their timelines and overview. So using views, and I have a whole range of different views available here, and these are all custom configured and will display different aspects of my projects. So will filter and group projects in different ways and show different data columns. The security model here will allow us to hide certain aspects of project information from certain user groups. So for example, if you wanted to hide financial information from certain people, you could absolutely do that. Equally, you could hide certain groups of projects from people. So if projects maybe are across a number of different departments, we could set it up so that I would only be able to see those projects that are relevant to my department as I come in here. Talking about this particular view that you see here, as an example, it's called the plan and manage phase view. So this just happens to filter out projects that are currently in the plan and manage phase. And the fact that we have a concept of plan and manage phase here is all custom configuration. So we have a project lifecycle here that just happens to have these couple of phases within it. But clearly, deploying it for different organizations, this will look very different for individual clients. We're then looking at this particular view showing us some financial parameters, cost and benefit, as well as obviously what jumps out at you is these various RAG indicators, red, amber, green indicators, and these can be set based on calculations that we've defined in the solution. So we're automating business rules essentially. So if we're looking at project costs, for example, this may well compare the original baseline project cost that we signed off as part of the business case against the current forecast, and then have various thresholds in there to say, so let's, for example, if it's over by £10,000, we're going to make it yellow. If it's more than £50,000, we're going to make it red. And that may well be different for different types of projects. So we're trying to deploy objective business rules that are not subject to interpretation by individual project managers. Having said that, it's certainly good practice to pair these with subjective indicators that are literally just set by the project manager as a way of giving their own assessment of the health of the project, and turning those yellow or red may then give this project some attention during the next project review meeting, for example. So again, just to emphasize the point of what you're seeing here, all of that would be customized for your organization. So these status indicators by no means are prescriptive. You may have more or fewer than what you see here, and they would reflect your own requirements and business rules. So just to scroll over to the right a little bit more, just to give an idea what else is in here: start, finish date, the amount of work that is defined in the project plan that sits behind these projects, and other pieces of information. And by the way, I could interact with this view right here and for example, regroup the projects that I'm seeing here by owner. So I'm hoping that you start to see the power of this. Using a data model that captures information consistently, I can very easily create these views that will give me access to project information. And for many organizations, this basic capability of Project Server in itself is of huge value, because showing a central register of all projects and being able to slice and dice that by the key parameters that are relevant to your organization is obviously a far more efficient process than compiling spreadsheets and asking project managers to supply information via email and merging all this into a central view that has to be manually produced. But I'm just going to regroup this again to workflow phase, and to then give you a quick view here of the process for creating a new project in this environment. So in the top left corner here, I'm clicking on the new button, and what you see dropping down here is a list of project types. Project types essentially are a means of segmenting the types of projects that are relevant in the organization. You get the idea from the examples that drop down here. So I might have a software development project versus an infrastructure deployment project versus a marketing campaign, or whatever is relevant to your organization. Some organizations call it minor and major projects, or projects and programs, or whatever. I think you get the idea. It's essentially anything that requires different levels of governance, anything that will need specific templates, or will need different kinds of information captured at project level, will drive you towards creating an individual project type. So within project type, we're able to customize the experience. We're able to deploy specific templates and really make the process very specific to what that project type demands, which should really be a help to people that use this facility, such as project managers. I'm not going to create a new project. I'm going to just drill into a particular project in the list here to just give you an idea of what's behind it. So my finance tracking project, drilling into this project gives me a view of the sort of information that's available within this project. So you can see here a number of links, which I'm going to show you in a second, that will lead me to a number of forms and pages that will collect the information that's relevant to this project. And these pages may all be specific to this particular project type. So other projects may well present us with different forms, but also we may have different forms at different stages of the project. So you can see here the image across the top here is something that symbolizes or makes it very visual that we have a project life cycle in place here with a number of different stages. This project right now is at the planning stage, and the forms that are available to me are relevant to the planning stage. I could indeed deploy automated workflows here, and you see the submit button at the top here, whereby as a project manager, I would submit this project to be approved for the next stage, and then my executive stakeholder would review my collateral and the state of my project before approving this to go ahead. So automated workflows is part of Project Server. Right, let me show you now what happens if I look at some of these forms that are embedded here. So project details, for example. Here is a project details form, which is merely an example. So it's making use of some of the custom fields that have been defined in this database, in this demo database. Don't take anything that you see here as prescriptive. It's merely an example for a form, and we can have many of these forms, and again, these forms will be specific to the type of project that we're looking at. So you can see here we have a project name, we have description and further justification as narrative. We are able to, in this case, align our projects with a particular department in the organization, supply some financial parameters, and so on. Other forms may ask us to name the sponsor of the project, its priority, its key strategic alignment, and so on and so on. So whatever is relevant to you as items of information to be stored for projects could be very easily embedded here into these custom forms. Another form that we may have available is, for example, a risk evaluation form. Again, just to show the capabilities. All of this would be customizable, but in this case, risk evaluation, asking you a series of questions to then arrive at a risk score for this project. Strategic impact. This form presents you with a number of strategic drivers that have been set up for this organization. And so these would reflect the objectives that have been set by the board of directors typically, with some impact statements that help us score this particular project against these drivers. That will find entry into the portfolio analytics if we were to use that facility that I mentioned earlier to let the system help us decide which projects we should sign off. I may also embed a spreadsheet in here, so this is cost and benefits as an example. This is making use of Microsoft Office 2010 capabilities of being the web editing facility. So Excel, for example, is now available in the browser, and embedded right here into this model I might have a standard spreadsheet to fill in financials. We see a lot of clients do use Excel to do project calculations in terms of costs and benefits. So it's about providing these standard spreadsheets right here within the project, and it's the right one for this type of project. And of course, I have access here also to the project schedule itself that we've created for this project. And I may have a range of different views to show me the full task view, or maybe just key milestones. And not only that, I'm also able to edit the project plan in the browser, so I don't need Microsoft Project to perform my planning and tracking. I could change the plan right here within the browser. So for some light project planning, I'm able to use the browser. However, Microsoft Project does have planning facilities that go beyond the browser capabilities. So for example, if you want to baseline a project, that's not something that you can do here in the browser. Okay, I'm going to switch back to the top and go back to the project center, and from here take you to the resource center. Now, we mentioned earlier one of the key pain points for many clients is the need to assign resources across projects and understand what people are doing, whether they have any spare availability, and so on and so on. So here, this resource pool helps us because this is essentially a register of all the resources that are available to us. And again, this would be customized in terms of the data that we're capturing. We may possibly create some custom fields that define whether somebody's a permanent member of staff or an external contractor or consultant, or we may have a list of different offices, so we can say where somebody, in which office somebody's working in, and so on. One of the key parameters that we usually define for clients is a concept of skill or discipline or role, or in this case it's called position role here. So you can see right now I've got a view, and there are many views available again to show different aspects of my resource pool. So this one is called by position role, and it just groups my resources by their role in the organization. So for example, if you're looking at analysts here, a bunch of people that are all analysts, and you can also see here within the analyst group I have a generic resource called analyst. So this is not a person, it's a placeholder for that job role. And wherever I do not know the actual person that's going to perform a piece of work, but I do want to indicate that this is an analyst going to be required, then I would just assign this generic resource. So that will allow us to look at resource demand by skill set. Even well before actual people have been assigned, we can say, this is the amount of work that is coming our way for the skill set of analysts. Okay, let me just give you a quick idea of the sort of visibility that we have here by looking at this particular resource that I've ticked in the list here, and then going up here and doing a resource availability view for this chart chap Hatim, and I'm seeing here a view of work assigned to this gentleman within a date range and the setting of this view that he remembers from the last time I was here. Essentially what you're seeing here is a weekly view, but it might well be monthly or daily, so I can change the settings, of course. A weekly view here with the black line giving me the total capacity for this person, so this is a 40-hour week, and the blue columns telling me to what extent this person has been utilized. So where we have some room here, we may have assigned them some further work, but where the blue column exceeds the black line, that means that they've been over-allocated and would need to do some overtime. I could also analyze this by project and say, well, how does this work divide into the various different projects that this person is working on. And equally, I could inquire further and find out across these two projects that this person is working on, or a number of projects that this person is working on, what are the actual tasks that have been assigned to this person within this time frame. Okay, I'm going to take you back to the home page now, and we'll move on to a slightly different subject, really to explain to you how we use Microsoft Project in this context, and how we use Project to assign resources and so on. So I want to play with a project which is the payroll system upgrade down here. So all I would need to do is highlight that project, and then up here click the open button and choose Microsoft Project Professional for editing. Now I've opened this project previously, and here it is. So you're now looking at Microsoft Project 2010, Microsoft Project Professional 2010 to give it its full name. And if you've used Microsoft Project in the past but not seen the 2010 version, you will see some significant changes here at the top in the way that the menus and the navigation bars are laid out. So we have now the ribbon bar, which came in with Microsoft Office 2007. Microsoft Project has finally been changed to inherit this new way of accessing the functionality that's available. And after an initial period of getting used to it, you should find this far more functional and easier to work with. Project 2010 has huge new facilities that really should make working with it much easier. I don't have the time today to tell you a lot about Project 2010. We do a separate webinar on a regular basis that portrays Microsoft Project 2010 as a desktop planning tool. Let me just show you a number of things that are particularly useful. For example, the timeline view. Timeline lets me very quickly pull out key tasks from my project and stick them into a dynamic timeline. So in this case, for example, I've previously built a timeline that reflects the key phases of my project with some specific milestones. And as my project plan changes and tasks move about, this timeline will always be kept up to date, and I'll be able to use a copy timeline facility here to copy the image out, stick it into a PowerPoint presentation maybe, or in a Word document or an email or whatever, and it really helps me communicate the key phases of my projects to my stakeholders, my customers, or whoever it is. Just to show you how easy it is to manipulate this timeline, I can just pick up this milestone here and say I want that to be reflected. I just drag it up there, and here's my timeline. Where I can easily change the way that this is presented and change this to a call out. I might change the color schemes and so on. So absolutely great facility. It should save me lots of time when it comes to communicating my plan to those people that don't want to read the detailed task breakdown and understand my task schedule in detail. They just want to get the overview. Okay, as I said, I've not got the time to give you a great deal of detail of what project can do. So we'll just focus on how we're using Microsoft Project now in the server environment and specifically in terms of resourcing the project. So I just want to show you how we pull in resources from the resource pool. So I'm going here to the Resource tab, click Add Resources to open a tool called Build Team from Enterprise. Build Team from Enterprise lets us, as the name suggests, view the resource pool and decide which one of these resources we should put to work on our project. So here on the left-hand side in this window is that resource pool that we were showing earlier. And here on the right-hand side, we have a subset of resources that are now the team of this project. So clearly I've done some team building here previously, and I just want to show you how we replace my one remaining generic resource on this project, so an analyst, with a real person. So the scenario is this project is already in flight. I've got a number of people already working here, but I'm still looking for somebody who can take on the analyst role. So highlight analyst, click match, and it will filter my resource pool and give me all those that are analysts. From here I'm able to apply further filtering to see only those resources that have availability. So you can see up here, show resource availability. I can see the full detail that we're holding against this particular resource, maybe a calendar information, maybe this person is going to leave us at the end of the month, so somebody has maintained this fact centrally. So as a project manager, I really benefit from looking at this resource pool or working with this resource pool which has been centrally maintained and therefore has a lot of data integrity. And let's assume that Hatem is the guy for me. I'll just do a replace, and Hatem is now on my project team. The analyst is gone. And looking at the plan below here, when I now click OK, then analyst will disappear and Hatem is on board instead. Now, in terms of the ongoing resource management against my project, of course, I want to be able to see if other projects are competing for resources with me, and I want to see over allocations and so on. So another project professional new facilities, the team planner, which gives us a resource-centric timeline of the project. So here, resources on my project on the left here, Hatem is there now, and the tasks assigned to them are defined as blocks here. I can hover over those and I can see what people are doing on other projects, and wherever something is in red, I've got an over allocation, and I can even resolve those here. So let's say this block here, I can change the task around, assign it to somebody else, or just move it within the timeline of this one person, and that has now removed the over allocation of this particular person. Lots and lots of other facilities available here to make over allocations visible, help me with my ongoing resource management meetings, be that on a weekly basis. In this very limited amount of time that I have today, I can only skim across it and give you a very light flavor. So unfortunately, I must leave it at that, because there's a bunch of other things I want to tell you in the last 10-15 minutes of this meeting. So let's come out of Microsoft Project and let's talk about collaboration using SharePoint. I mentioned earlier we're able to create project sites in SharePoint, and so let me take you to one. So it's very easy to get to those. I'm highlighting this particular finance tracking project, and I'm clicking on project site, and in no time at all the project site opens, one hopes. And what you're seeing here is the homepage for this particular project, and it's just been designed to show us some key items of project information. It being SharePoint, you can completely design the way that these pages look, and the information that's shown here. It's all going to be template based, so when a Microsoft project server creates a new project, then the site can be created automatically based on the appropriate template for the type of project. Within here we may have project documents. Not much in here right now, but you get the idea. You might have business cases or project initiation documents, and one would deploy these as templates in here. So when I click on new document, I should really be getting a drop down of the appropriate document templates that are relevant for my project. The full power of SharePoint 2010 document management is available here. I certainly have no time to get into that today, but for those of you that are familiar with SharePoint will know that in SharePoint we can do all sorts of things with documents, be it workflow, versioning, archiving, enhanced search, alerts on documents changing, and so on and so on. And all of that is available here. Also, what we would typically see is issues and risks, replacing the traditional spreadsheets that we see most organizations using. So instead, we're going to deploy a form here that captures issue and risk information, and again, this would be customized to capture those kind of fields that are relevant in your context. So this is the out-of-the-box example. The beauty here is not only will this be a standard form inherited by everyone, but I can also link these issues and risks to project tasks. So this project site can see the task plan of my project, but also to risks. So in this case, I might be creating an issue that was previously recorded as a risk, so I can make the link here. So building up hyperlinks between these items, and equally I can link an issue or risk to a document, or a document to a task. So we can set up these relationships. Also worth saying here that these items are assigned, so if somebody is assigned this particular issue will be reminded when they log in that they have an issue from this project. I'll be able to report on issues and risks across all projects, and using the kind of metadata that we've deployed at project level. Let's again use the example of sponsor, will allow me to group my risk or filter my risk by those kind of items of information. So it'd be very easy for me to create a report of key issues by sponsor across all active projects, for example. If you try to do that with spreadsheets, it would be a very laborious manual effort. Okay, other things we might have in here is team calendars. We may have meeting actions from ongoing project meetings as task lists, discussion groups, announcements. You may publish images from the most recent project meeting, whatever you want. It's SharePoint, it's easily customizable, and all of that can be deployed as templates. And again, just to emphasize this once more, it's the right template for this type of project. So if a project doesn't need issue and risk logs, then they wouldn't be in here, because this template would not have those in it. Okay, so that was SharePoint sites. Let me very quickly talk about the ability to push work out to team members. So you can see on the left-hand side here, tasks. Clicking on that will show me as a team member work that's been assigned to me across the various projects. Don't want to spend a lot of time here, but just enough to say we're able to publish work to team members using the system. They're able to log in, see any assignments that are relevant to them, and they can supply us with progress information, or actual hours, timesheet type information, and submit this back to the project manager. So we should get these updates of task completion flowing back into our project with appropriate approval mechanisms, so we can understand what it is they're submitting back to us. One key requirement for most clients, and this is me moving on again, is to make use of all of the information that we're capturing here, and building dashboards that are relevant to users within the organization, key stakeholders, executives, and so on. So analyzing work, analyzing costs, counting issues and risks, and making these available in interactive dashboards. And Excel is a very important reporting tool here that Project Server enables. Let me show you this by way of example of this resource availability by role diagram here in the bottom right-hand corner. That's actually built in Excel and published to the site using Excel services. So I'm going to just switch to Excel. So this is the actual spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet itself is connected to the Project Server database, and Project Server maintains data cubes, a data warehouse essentially, and we can use Excel to connect to it and build these reports using familiar Excel functionality such as pivot tables. So this pivot table here is using data from the Project Server data cubes to then create this nice little diagram here, and this diagram itself is the piece that's been published to Project Server. If I've got time, I'm going to give you a very quick idea of how easy this is. I've got another spreadsheet on the go here, and I've pulled in a list of projects from Project Server, and let's say I want to find out how much work there is for these projects, or find the work item and select that from the database. And it's now going to add up the amount of work by project. If I wanted to group this by department and find out how much work I'm going to be doing by department, and I can of course do this as well. Here's my project department, and put this in here and group my projects by department, and there you go, I get amount of work by department. And let's say I want to split this out over a number of periods of time. Then here's my time dimension, and that goes in there, and I'm going to split this down into quarters, for example. So you get the idea. It's very, very easy to pull information out and using familiar spreadsheet technology to make sense of it all, turn this into diagrams, and the project analysts amongst you can really knock yourself out with this stuff. It's great fun. And not only that, it should give you serious business value, because it should save time and give you access to good information instantly. Other ways of pulling information out might be by way of a project highlight report. Just as an example, this is using SQL reporting services. This is where it all comes together. Your project governance, the sort of time spent by project managers submitting these in Excel or Word, and maybe a poor old PMO administrator chasing these reports. This should be available at the click of a button, and it's just making use of all of the information that's gone in there, information we've captured in forms such as narrative, project reference numbers, status indicators, who's the sponsor, key financial parameters, looking at milestones in the plan, looking at dependencies in an area that I haven't had time to discuss in any great detail today, pulling out issues and risks that we've got in the project site. Just an example of what you can do to create a highlight report. And of course, again, that would be customized for your organization. And we can export this into Excel or a Word or PDF and email this to people that don't have access to this solution themselves. Okay. I've come to the end of my demo in view of time. As usual, I can only give you really a very high-level flavor of what Project Server can do. There's a bunch of things I've not had a chance to show you, portfolio analytics being one of them. So let me just switch back to my PowerPoint presentation, and just before I go, give you a very quick pep talk on some of the things to look out for if you're going to deploy a solution such as this. So here are our 3 golden rules. So make sure you don't look at the solution and say, I want it all and I want it now. Please view this as a journey that needs to be taken in small steps. Think of your key objectives, key priorities, and engage with a specialist partner such as us to help you understand what makes sense as in terms of a journey. So we want to embed the solution before we scale it out and up. On the way, we really need to understand how people are going to be affected by this. It does change the culture of the way we're collaborating. Everything is far more visible. We need to find a benefit for everyone who's affected by this, so they're all buying into this process. And talk about process, we really need to understand a pragmatic level of process that's relevant to your organization so the solution can be set up to support it. To kick off a deployment, we usually undertake an envisioning workshop with clients, and that's all about understanding objectives and developing a roadmap, and in particular designing this scope for whatever the initial deployment of the solution is going to look like. So you make sure that the level of culture change that you are imposing on your teams is kept to a minimum, and you get great benefit from day one. So that's it. That's me done in terms of talking a lot. I wonder whether we have any questions submitted on Q&A. Let me just have a quick look. There don't seem to be any, in which case I'm able to finish dead on time, and would just like you to view this last slide and understand what you might want to do in terms of next steps. Of course, Microsoft Project is documented in great detail on the Microsoft website. You may also contact your Bytes account manager, even indeed myself, or go to programframework.com, where again you find a lot of information. We are more than happy to do further customized demos for your organization, or even come on site and present the solution to you. So thanks for attending today. I hope to see you again, maybe on future webinars or maybe in person. Thanks for your time, and goodbye.